Long before Western armies reached the edges of India, the Ganges Delta was already an organic, rapidly developing engine of civilization. The dense river networks provided natural irrigation, allowing small agricultural settlements to grow quickly into bustling commercial centers on the water. By the 4th century BCE, this region had accumulated staggering wealth. Local merchants were exporting highly coveted luxury goods, like finely woven muslins, rare spices, and pearls, to distant markets. This flowchart breaks down the multidimensional role of a critical port city called Tamralipti. Because of its strategic location near the sea, it served as the political and economic nodal point that controlled the entire flow of this wealth. Looking at this map of ancient maritime routes, you can see the massive reach of that trade network. Merchants from Tamralipti and the surrounding delta pushed their influence deep into Southeast Asia, establishing lucrative links along the Malaysian peninsula and Sumatra. Generating that volume of maritime wealth painted a target on the delta. Protecting this economic output required a military defense skill that the region had never seen before. The Greeks and Romans who eventually documented this region gave the people defending the delta a specific name, the Gangaridai. Rather than stand alone to protect their ports, the Gangaridai formed a strict strategic alliance with their western neighbors, the Prasi, known historically as the Nanda Empire. This pact created a unified eastern front. The sprawling resources of both the Gangaridai and the Prasi were centralized under the command of a single ruler, King Dana Nanda. By combining their populations and agricultural surplus, this alliance assembled a baseline force of 200,000 infantry and 80,000 cavalry. A thriving commercial river basin had effectively armed itself into a military superpower, fully equipped to confront any invading army on Earth. In 326 BCE, Alexander the Great marched his army to the banks of the Hypathus River. After years of continuous marching, this river marked the absolute eastern limit of his global campaign. His Macedonian troops had endured months of monsoons and had just survived a brutal, highly lethal fight at the Battle of the Hydaspes. They were physically battered and psychologically drained. Then, Alexander's scouts returned from across the river. This chart illustrates the intelligence they brought back. Waiting just beyond the Ganges was an allied infantry force of 200,000 men. The numbers made the exhausted Macedonian army look completely outmatched. But the sheer volume of infantry wasn't the worst part of the report. The scouts revealed that this Eastern alliance held a specialized elite corps of 4,000 to 6,000 war elephants. Facing an enemy with resources of this magnitude broke the Macedonians. An army that had survived the Persian Empire and conquered half the known world simply refused to march another step. In ancient warfare, the Indian elephant functioned as a living tank. A synchronized charge from these animals could instantly shatter a tightly packed Greek phalanx, trampling soldiers and breaking defensive lines before traditional infantry even engaged. The Gangaridai pulled the largest, most aggressive animals directly from the deep forests of Bengal. As depicted in ancient reliefs, they trained them specifically for combat, keeping thousands of these beasts in perpetual battle readiness. Hearing that thousands of these massive animals were massed across the river triggered an outright mutiny on the banks of the Hyphasis. The soldiers told Alexander they would rather walk back to Greece than face the Gangaridai. Confronted with the absolute refusal of his men, Alexander ordered a total retreat. He abandoned his ambition to conquer India and turned his forces south. The Gangaridai achieved a strategic victory that no other kingdom managed. By building an overwhelming military force, they halted the most successful conqueror in history through pure psychological deterrence, without swinging a single sword. Following Alexander's retreat, the geopolitical landscape of India quickly consolidated. The Nanda dynasty fell, and the Gangaridai territories were absorbed into Chandraketugarh Maurya's sprawling new indigenous empire. Their renowned war elephant court didn't disappear. Instead, thousands of those carefully trained animals were folded directly into the Mauryan imperial army, projecting Eastern power even further across the subcontinent. While the Gangaridai lost their political independence, their core economic engine thrived. The maritime ports in the Ganges Delta expanded their export of goods across the Bay of Bengal and into foreign markets. The true legacy of the Gangaridai lay in that immense wealth. Their robust maritime trade network provided a stable economic foundation that sustained Indian empires for centuries to come. Evidence for the Gangaridai was once found exclusively in Western accounts, leading some historians to wonder if the Greeks invented a mythological superarmy to excuse Alexander's retreat. Recent excavations in the Ganges Delta have grounded those descriptions in physical reality. Sites like Chandraketugarh align with the classical texts, providing a physical footprint that mirrors the Greco-Roman descriptions. Digging into the stratified soil, researchers found silver punch-marked currency alongside imported Roman coins. These artifacts verify that the Delta was exactly what the Greeks described, a vast, internationally connected commercial hub. They also unearthed numerous terracotta plaques and bone seals stamped with clear elephant motifs. This confirmed the region's deep cultural and military attachment to the animals that terrified the Macedonians. These archaeological finds validate the classical legends, identifying a highly organized deltaic power whose military genius permanently defined the eastern border of the ancient world.